Go. Today we are going to talking about software. So what's the definition of the first software first of all? The software means the application the application on the IT system. So basically, it would be an example of this would be a Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Documents or Microsoft Spreadsheets, right? There are two main types of software. One of them is called operating software. They are responsible for controlling or managing a computer's hardware, and they're responsible for providing platforms where application software can run on. What is an example of it? An example of this would be CMD. CMD is just, sorry, not CMD. An example would be settings and the control panel of the computer. So basically, let's say on the new Windows, settings is the one that mainly control about the hardware. So for example, how a hardware should work. And in another case, control panel is also it. It controls on various components of how a hardware should work, right? Control panel. Applications software it allows the user to perform tasks to solve problems. An example of that would be let me think. An example of that would be mail. Basically, in mail you write email to others. In the mail software, you write email to others. Okay. Then the next thing is going to be examples of application. Word processing, desktop publishing, presentation, photo and video editing, music of sound development, and website development. Now we're going to talk about the licenses of the software. Basically, the licenses is the one that controls what you should do, like how you can do with the software. I mean the policy of the software, which we are going to cover it more about on chapter 5. License is the policy of the software. So an example, sorry, the license is the no, okay, I'm not going to define it. So it's the difference of type of license. The first of the one is shareware. Basically, it gives you 3 days of trial and then you have to pay it. It's like the Google Docs. I remember when you buy a new computer, it gives you 6 days. Sorry, it's like the Microsoft Docs, right? It gives you 6 days of free use, and then you have to pay the entire thing. The next is public domain. It has no copyright and it can be used by everyone, edited by everyone. The next thing is open source. It's copyrighted, but it's open contributed. Remember, the difference between public domain and open source is that public domain has no copyright, while open source has copyright. Okay, that's the key significant difference here. Let me think. The next thing that we are going to be talking about is um, the next thing we are going to talk about is called freeware. It's a copyright, but it's free. It's a copyrighted software, but it's free. So, for example, a blatant example that I can think about immediately is um, a blatant example that I can be thinking about blatantly is Skype because you have free. It's copyrighted by the company that creates Skype, but you can also use it, right? But you can use it for free, right? Another thing that is called another. Finally, we come to the part where we talk about the proprietary. It is copyrighted thing, and you have to pay it. Yes, it's EA. Like it's a greedy. What's that called? Greedy capitalists. Now we are going to talk about the Business Software Alliances. It's a Microsoft trade group that promotes legal service use. The next thing that we'll be talking about is called commercial. Commercial software is just or custom built bespoke software that is software that can be designed for customer purposes. Next is called web-based software, which is the application on web-based stored on remote server and internet, which is the cloud. and use their website to access the cloud computing system. An example of that is going to be uh, Google Docs and its G Suite, right? The next thing is going to be the source code, which is the pieces of instrument and statements written by programmers in computer programming language for a program. This is called source code. Open source is something that encourages users to download, view, and change the code, while closed source recall the what's that called the difference for open source and closed source. Closed source is that access to the code is limited and within the software who company who wrote it. So basically, for example, open source is that you can edit the code, while the closed source is that only the people like affiliated to the company can edit the code. Okay. So think about a key question. What are the advantages and disadvantages of open and closed system? If you have to choose one between open source and closed source, which one would you choose? Think about it for a sec. I'm not going to tell you the answer at this point. When we get to the chapter, different strands of, I mean, when we come to strand 1 or the chapter 5, I'm going to get back to this question and answer to you. But think about for 30 seconds, and I will get on to the next thing. Okay, so it's 30 seconds. Now we are going to talk about the last thing, which is blockchain. The definition of blockchain is distributed database that is shared among nodes of the computer network. Most blockchains are they open source. So the just a quick thing. Node database. Database represents a base that stores the data. Okay, so it's a basis that stores the data of the system. You will learn about this in chapter 6. Nodes, on the other hand, are specific points on the network that you can connect with, that is receiving the connection. So it's the clients on the network that is received the services. Okay, so that's the definition of nodes. The nodes made up the entire network. Just think about it. When the multiple clients connect together, they make a network where they can communicate with each other and share the information. So that's the meaning of the blockchain. Here we come to the end of the chapter 3, and I hope you have learned a lot. In the future, we'll be talking about chapter 4, which is network. And here we come to the end of our lesson. I hope you have learned a lot. See you next week. Bye bye.